Hey, Brian Winum here with Viktoria Altman. Thanks to Joe for having us on LoudEgg today. And we're bringing Victoria in to discuss her new course. Thanks for coming on, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by and sharing what you have to share with us. So it's been a while since you and I met in person. Um, when did we meet? Was it
Yes.
2019,
Uh,
2020, something like that?
since we met first time or since the last time I saw you in Vegas?
The first time we met. I think
It's
you were,
been a minute.
yeah.
It's been a minute.
And I remember you were kind of just getting started at that point. So
Yeah.
you come a long way since then. I mean, unbelievable what you've done with your agency and everything that you've been able to accomplish. So I'm assuming that this course that we're going to talk about is kind of a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
so I started in 2020, right, during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And initially I started off profitable right away, and I think the key to my success was right away just getting lucky, well, not getting lucky, but using the system that I had used before to hire people, and to sort of adapting it to the digital age. So yeah, it's actually a really big part of, like, if you have really high profit margins, you can get away with a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course. I mean, that's everyone's goal.
um, and so, like, the way to do it is by hiring really amazing people at very reasonable rates, right? That's like easy money. It's like having an ATM machine in your house.
Yeah, no, I mean, the better the class of employees you have, the better you're going to do overall. You got to keep your clients happy, so that's kind of
Yeah,
key. You got to have the
yeah,
right team members in place to do it.
yeah. So actually, I wasn't gonna ever come up with this course because I feel like this is probably the most valuable process I have. But I had so many people who were like, do you mind sharing? Do you mind talking about it? Do you mind having a conversation? And I was like, it just seemed like a lot of people wanted the information. So I figured, let me do it. Let me get it out there, and just this way, if anybody who asks me about this in the future, I can just send them there.
Here we go. So I know you did another course previous to this too. Maybe last year was it?
Hmm.
What one was that about?
That was Cloud Links.
Okay.
So I uh, I used to use a system for Cloud Links, like a software, and I got kicked off of it for asking too many questions, which of course pissed me off. I tend to do that, ask too many questions. And so we created a whole system for it, and we still use it to this day. And I track results every month. I'm gonna look at my annotations report, and it works beautifully. Like, it works so well that I actually don't do any other link building, other than, of course, press releases and social media links, that kind of thing. But I don't, like, go out there and I don't buy links because I don't have to. So the cloud links is whichever way you get it, as long as you set it up correctly. It's just, again, like another having a second ATM machine in your house.
So with that method, you had to hire people to actually implement that for you. I'm assuming. And this
Well,
is going to help you do that.
the thing is, I already had people, so I think I think getting successful in business is always like 90% luck, right? And then like 10% being good. Um, and I got lucky with my first two employees, who was a developer and a VA, and I kind of learned from them what I liked in terms of personality and stuff, and what I didn't like. And then, like I said, I used a very similar system to what I used to use before in the real world when I ran a preschool. I would, yeah,
That's a big jump.
it is a big jump. I was director of a preschool for quite a few, well, actually, chain of preschools for a few years. And I used to hire people there. And, when you're hiring people to deal with little children, you get really good at the interview process because you have to be so careful and,
That makes
so
sense.
specific about the personality, and, you have to be able to read people. So you kind of come up with a system. You can't help it, right? So now, obviously, the stakes are a little bit lower, but still, I want amazing people. So it's very, very systematized. It's all about, like, having a hands-off hiring process, and about just not doing a lot of the work myself. I'm really not a big fan of doing the work. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. When you're an agency owner, you have to be able to delegate and uh, be as hands off as possible. You kind of want to be the big picture person, making strategical decisions, hiring decisions, and things like that. But the
Yeah.
data stuff you want to be able to hand off. So that's why I think this is really important. You have that system in place where not only do you have your team members actually implementing the work for you, dealing with your clients, doing the day to day stuff, so you can focus on the more important things, but I was blown away by the fact that you actually have them doing the hiring for you. This
Yeah.
really does is really completely hands off the way you have it running at this point.
Yes. Yeah. I actually hired two people while I was literally in a flight to Hong Kong, so I didn't even have any internet or anything. Yeah. So this is my philosophy: is this. I am the systems person. It's my job to create a system and my job to hire very smart people who can implement my system and then just to lead them to it. So there are still
Mhm.
things I do day to day. Like I'm still learning different SEO techniques. I'm learning ads. I'm learning a lot of things and I'm implementing systems, but I don't creating systems, but I'm not like touching them anymore. Like I give them to somebody. So this is a system. It's a way to go out there and to pre-screen hundreds to 1,000 applicants for one position, and then to hire a person for about $50 a hire. Like that's how much the whole thing costs us.
So
Obviously,
you,
that's not what we're paying them.
so you can potentially go through 100 different applications for one position, and it'll only cost you $50 to generate those 1,000 applications.
More, we
With it?
go through 300 to 1,000. Yeah,
Really?
I'm
Wow.
very picky.
Yeah, I'd say.
I'm very, very, very picky.
So your employees are
So,
one in 1,000.
well, that was why I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this because, frankly, I'm creating competition for myself because there's only so many extraordinary people out there.
Of course.
But from my point of view, when I got into this industry in 2020, there were so many people who were so helpful to me and just share. You are one of them. Just shared knowledge and was like, "Here, do this, do this, do this, do this." That I felt that like I wanted to give people something that they did not know how to do, and something that made me like good, that I'm good at, that I'm really, really good at, and be like, "Hey, here it is. This is your way to make millions. Enjoy." So I figured, it's okay, a little competition, no big deal. Maybe the rates will go up.
So I went through the same thing. I did a course myself not too long ago, like right around the Black Friday. And I did go back and forth between should I or shouldn't I put this out? And part of what I teach in my course was something I had spoke about at an event back in like 2019 that Stephen Kang ran. And I
Hmm.
actually went back and forth with my partner Andrew about whether or not we should even share it. He wanted to
Yeah.
keep everything in house. At the time, I was kind of like, you know what, we're going there to speak with other colleagues, other agency owners, and things like that. I think if we put this out there, at least show a little good faith, it's going to come back to us in the long run. We
Yeah.
share what's going to help people, something that's actually going to be truly helpful to other people. And then over time, we built up relationships with those same people we met that day, and they've done
Hmm.
the same thing. They've repaid the favor 10 times over by whether it's referring business to me, whether it's sharing something with me that they don't necessarily share with the general public, whatever it may be. So I'm
Hmm.
definitely of that belief where if you put something out there that's really going to be truly helpful for people, it's going to help you. It's going to help you in the long run. It's going to
Yeah.
come back and help you. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I went about thinking about why should I put the course out or not, and it definitely made sense.
Your course is really, really great. The thing with your course is there's an unlimited number of websites out there that could be great making a ton of money. You know what I mean? So there's no limitation. Whereas my course
Right.
is all about finding that one
Agreed.
amazing person. So,
Yeah.
but again, like people gave me so much in this industry that I'm just gonna share the most profitable thing I have, and if people take it and run with it, great. And I know majority of people will not execute it, so that's okay too.
And that goes back
You
to
know
kind
how
of
it is.
what
People
I
buy and then they
yeah,
don't
of
they don't
course.
do anything.
Yeah, you're right. 90% of the people are going to buy it. They're never going to do anything. They don't even show up in a group or never even ask you a question. But that goes back to another thing that I was talking about. I'm always a big proponent of basically building business assets. Not just the agency itself, but your SOPs are assets themselves,
Hmm.
and you can monetize them. That's part of what I
Yeah.
did with my stuff as well, and that's exactly what you're doing now. This is your SOP. It's a
Yeah.
very, very valuable SOP, and like I said, this is kind of the engine that makes your agency run. You
Yeah.
built your entire team. You're satisfying your entire client base based on these people you've hired using this particular system.
Yeah, yeah. So they do get all the SOPs, like literally everything we do, like Slack chats, everything is in there. So they understand, like, and they can literally just take like our SOPs that we provide to the interviewees, because it's an interview process that is very involved where we ask them to do tasks. The other thing is, we don't do some things that people might be doing. Like we don't do screen interviews like this.
Hmm.
And so there's some things that we don't do specifically because I know that that's going to hurt your chance of hiring really good people, because people are like, you know, may not be as good at interviewing as they are in actually working. And especially people who are kind of virtual assistant, people who are used to being behind the screen and not, not being like in a social environment. Or like another thing that is a really big tip, and I didn't realize that people didn't know this. Don't look for people with a college degree, because people with, especially if you're hiring in the third world, generally people have a college degree because they came from a nice family, not because they're smart and hardworking.
That makes sense. Yeah.
In the US, you might be able to go to college even if you come from a poor family, but in most of the third world, that's simply not the case. So you are getting rid of people who might be extremely ambitious, very hardworking, and nobody wants to hire them
Yeah.
based on nothing but a line in a resume. You know what I mean? Like these people might be reading hundreds of books a year, and like, you're like, oh, well, they don't have a college degree, so you know.
Yeah. I mean, they're self-taught. They have the experience. They can do the job inside and out, and you'll never know because you weren't looking for that particular person.
Yeah, yeah. So things like that I learned, like two of my best employees don't have a college degree, and in the Philippines, like you need a college degree to even be a cashier at a supermarket. That's how crazy it is,
Hmm.
you know.
So all your VAs are from the Philippines currently?
Yeah, so all of my VAs in the Philippines, I've looked in other places, but it's the cheapest value for the money. Like I'm a big ROI person, and I like those 80% profit margins, big fan.
Of course, that works.
So, and then the other nice thing is if I'm not getting the right kind of people, for the interview, then I can just give everybody a small raise and then I can just start interviewing at a higher raise. And again, it's not like, because it's so affordable over there, like it's not a big deal for my company. So I can just, look at more people.
So in talking to you a little more, it almost sounds like you're not only building a team, you're almost like family members to some extent. I mean, I see you've gone over there
Yeah.
before, and really
Yeah.
get together with your team and take care of them and kind of put your heart and soul into it as well. I mean, they're busting their butts for you. So
They are busting their butts for me. But yeah, I think you have to treat people as they're valuable to you as humans. And if you do that, then they will go extra mile for you, right? And it's a genuine thing. Like I genuinely, like one of my employees just went on maternity leave for 6 months, and I can afford to do that easily without even thinking twice because we have great profit margins. And so we have a corporate retreat every year where everybody flies in and everybody kind of hangs out. And do my people work harder for me because of that stuff? I think so. I think so, because they get to know you, they get to talk to you, they get to learn about your life, they get to share about their life. Look, we're all humans, and
mhm.
if you look at studies of, at all levels, what people want most is appreciation, understanding at work. Money is important, but money is less important than you think. People will often take less money if they feel they're more respected, more valued, and their lifestyle is better, right? They're less stressed, they have more flexibility, that kind of thing. And it
So
works well for everybody.
have you gotten feedback like that from your team that there's a particular reason why they've chosen to work with you or stay with you, as long as they have?
Yeah. So I actually pay less than anybody in this field. Well, almost anybody. And I've asked them because they're not stupid. They can go out there and get a job that pays more. And I've had these conversations. In fact, I have this in my course, where there's a whole Slack conversation of me asking, why are you here if you can get more money elsewhere? And every single one of them saying, because we're respected, our opinion is respected, because you treat us well, because we're not stressed, because we have a good work-life balance. Like I don't ask them to do stuff on their time off unless it's like a huge emergency, in which case I'll apologize. And, I don't make it like a regular habit. And everybody's human. Everybody wants to be treated well. And I think it's profitable to treat your employees well, right? Because you can again, it all comes down to those nice capitalist profit margins. If you're good to your people, you can make more money. I'm a big believer in that. I think if you are nice to your people, you will make more money.
So it sounds like the kind of the people themselves are a big win for you. Is there an element to that when you're actually doing the hiring, or are you strictly looking at them from like a technical aspect? Like what are they good at? Can they do what I need them to do moving into it, or is there some sort of kind of personal vetting of these people that you do as you go through it? Is that built into the testing? Is there any way for you to even know that,
Yeah.
or is that once you hire them, then you learn a little more, and if you need to get rid of them, then you can? But how does that work
Yeah.
exactly?
So I don't talk to them because I'm not hiring them. Nobody talks to them. It's just all by Slack. Well, my other employees talk to them by Slack, but not like by video. We have it built into the core, into the SOP and the course, that we're testing them for certain personality traits. We're
Mhm.
testing them for um, initiative. We're testing them for ability to ask good questions. We actually throw tasks at them that aren't what they appear to be. So, because it makes it more efficient. So, I'll give you, for instance, a task and I will hold some information. And my question for you is, are you going to come to me, ask me a question? Are you going to make it up? Are you going to skip over it? Like, what is your response going to be? Or for instance, we'll have them do research on divorce for a divorce lawyer. I work with lawyers, so now in the Philippines, divorce is not allowed, so they know nothing about the topic.
Okay.
And the questions we ask them are the kind of questions that it would require you to quickly comprehend information. So we're asking them questions, but we're not just asking them, to answer a question. We're really seeing what their personality is. Are they sticking to things? Are they, doing extra work, that kind of thing. So it's all kind of built into the system. But in terms of like the personal stuff, because I don't meet them, I try not to get too attached to them on the first.
That makes
Because I
good
get
sense.
attached. So like I'll have one of my supervisors deal with everybody when they're first new. Plus I'm very intimidated, so I don't work with them directly at first because I've been told that
So
it's
it makes
scary.
sense that you're judging them based on their reactions to you. Like you said, you have almost like honeypots built into these tests
We do,
where
yeah.
they
Yeah.
have to kind of ask you questions. If they don't, if they're trying to kind of fake it till they make it, then that's not
Yeah.
the kind of person you want to hire.
Yeah, no,
That
we
makes sense.
go through the process like right away. Like if there's not good questions, they're out. You know how it is. You've worked with VAs. The worst is when they either come to you for every single thing or they make an assumption. Right? Do I still have you, Brian? I think I lost Brian. Brian. Oh boy. Uh, Joe? Anybody? Hmm. Yeah. Hi, Joe. Wait. What happened? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm just gonna
Okay,
start
now we're
singing for
good. I
entertainment.
muted my mic. Yeah, I think Brian's gonna try to jump back on because he just
Okay.
froze in time. I don't know what happened
Joe,
there.
talk to me about your hiring process.
Oh, our hiring process? That's Brian's
Yes.
department. That's Brian does all the hiring, and and I mean I help out, I guess, a little bit just to make sure that people get along with me. I get along
Do
with them.
you do you interview them personally, or do you have a system for it, or how many employees do you have?
Well, there's 2 divisions. There's the Max Burst, which is the parent company, and then there's Max Places, which me and Brian are part of. Oh, I think he's back. Maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
That's
technical difficulty. Let me see.
okay. Maybe I'll just sing for entertainment. That should work out really well.
Yeah. You could get back on. I don't know what happened, but he got bumped. Hey, you got a
I'm just
different
gonna play
background.
around with my background.
Yeah, I want to see if I could adjust my background, but Brian just a blank
Brian,
screen. Nope, not there. He's got to try signing in again.
Brian, Brian. All right,
But
so
back to
hiring
your
process.
also on your cloud course that you is that still available?
Yeah, it's available. It's for sale. It's $350, and it is the best money you will ever spend.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great course. You did an excellent job there. Brian's back
Yeah,
again.
it was
His
mostly my
camera's off.
team actually. I don't know if you looked the course yourself, but I do like 30 seconds of it, and the rest of it is my team.
Yeah, you have the big, like the intro, video, and I'm like, all right, cool, this is cool. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait, who are these other people? But they do it. That's your team, obviously.
But
They do
like
it.
how? But like how exact are they? They will take you
They
through
are very,
everything.
very
They're
accurate. There he is, Brian. You're back. What happened? You left us.
Brian.
I got bumped. I don't know what happened. I
Yeah,
guess
I had to get rid of you. All right, I'm hiding again.
camera doesn't love me.
Oh, do you like my new backgrounds?
I love it. Love it. Much better. All right. So where did we leave off now?
At the fabulous way we hire and the fabulous way you hire, I think. I don't know.
All right.
I
So
don't
let's
remember.
jump a little more into the process itself. How long is the typical hiring process when you're going through the entire thing from beginning to end? If you're hiring for one particular position, um, is it take a few days, a week, couple weeks? How long does it usually go for?
So we generally have a 2-day hiring process.
Okay.
Now it doesn't mean that I'm going to hire somebody at the end of the process, and if I do hire them, it doesn't mean that they're always going to work out, right? Because it's just not. But so we go on, we post a job posting. By the way, people have told me that they've done other kinds of job postings and they don't get as many responses as we do. So I did include my actual job posting, which we get 300 to 1,000 responses. I think it's because I'm selling the company a little bit and giving them kind of a little bit more of a sales pitch rather than just a straight job post. So I do include that. And so, we put them all into one Slack room, not because I'm trying to be cruel, but because I want to speed up the process. And everybody's told, look, we have multiple job offerings, which we usually do. We have multiple positions because we're growing very, very quickly. And, you're not really, if there's multiple people here who do well, that's great. Then we will hire multiple people. And then we have a group interview, and then we have an individual interview for those people who pass the group. But it's just a bunch of tests. So it's not like there's somebody sitting there really, talking to people or anything. They would just, oh, thank you. They will just kind of, go through the process, and it's all very step by step. And, my folks will evaluate their responses.
So these people, do they necessarily have an SEO background, or what's their background when you're hiring these people? What are you kind of specifying in the job requirement when you're making these postings looking for people?
I hate hiring people with an SEO background because it's always wrong.
Yeah, you got to retrain them all over again, right?
Because I think link building is getting yourself a bunch of bookmarking links, or something really idiotic where you're like, oh my god, I don't want SEO people. I want smart people who are very trainable and who will have good ideas, like who come to me and be like, hey boss, what if we did it this way? That's the person that I want. Because when you're really smart, you can catch this stuff on very quickly. I've had people go from hire to running, article checking and running entire processes in 3 months. It's not brain surgery if you're very, very smart. So we don't look at certain backgrounds. We just hire for intelligence and for certain personality traits like persistence, question authority, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. And the tests themselves that you're kind of going through in this process, are they SEO related? Do you give them a little background or something saying, here, this
Yeah.
is how we do it, and then they have to kind of perform that particular task or something, or how does that go?
Yeah, we throw some pretty hard stuff at them. We actually have, and I include, obviously, it's obviously included in there. We actually give them a schema, and we tell them to program a schema.
It's out of the
And they
blue.
do
Hey, there
it.
you go.
And they do it. People do it. Listen, they're smarter than me. They can, a 5-minute Loom video, and they understand how to do it.
Wow. Okay.
Components, not a whole big, schema. But if you ever see my schema on my site, it's like, it's like two of me,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's, they work with a portion of that. So it's pretty impressive stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. That's for sure. If someone just said,
I
"Hey,
would
here's
totally
some schema,
fail.
go ahead, do it."
I would completely fail that test. But the thing is, I am hiring a person who I can take, do this today, do this tomorrow, and give you an SOP, and you're going to be able to do it all. Why? Because I want people I'm going to keep in the long run. I don't know what's going to happen in this in a year. Who the hell knows? With everything, with AI and everything, you want people who are going to adapt to anything, right?
So as people are going through these tests, are you kind of removing them from the equation in the middle if they fail a part? Are they going through the entire day, or you just like clean house
Yeah.
as you're moving along?
Yeah, we're like, yeah, if you didn't get a message, you didn't make it, we just take them out of Slack.
And
We
then
tell them, we wish them luck. we're not
okay.
we're not mean about it, but I'm not gonna waste somebody's time, and I'm certainly not gonna waste my team's time, which is gonna cost me money.
What about people reapplying next time around? Do you guys catch that? Do you see that a lot, or
Yeah, we add everybody to
yeah,
the
not
Slack
part of
channel and we never remove anybody. So if you try to apply again, we'll be like, oh, you're already in the Slack channel.
it? Sorry, that's it. Not this time around.
Yeah, I think somebody could potentially apply, but I think that test is either you got it, you don't. Like, it's not something you can like,
You scare
you
them off
know.
the first time around.
Say it again.
You scare them off the first time around.
Yeah, I think we do a little bit of that, but we also do it a little bit on purpose. We want people to
Mhm.
understand this is a high pressure environment and you're expected to be brilliant. Like, you know, I mean, that's what it is. I've actually had people come to me and say, I don't think I'm as smart as the rest of these people.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is, I don't think I'm as smart as them either. So, we have that in common.
That's perfect. Got them working for you, though. That's what you want.
That's what you want, especially if you can get a good deal on it.
So these tests that you have them taking, do you ever change them up, switch them up, or are they kind of pretty consistent from hiring process to hiring process?
We do switch them up. Every few months, we will switch things. So I'm updating the course and adding the new stuff and taking away. Sometimes I'll find something is working a little too well or not well enough in terms of like it's getting rid of all my applicants or it's not getting rid of enough applicants. You know what I mean? And like we used to do a writing test, we no longer do that because there's no more point in writing when I would do a research test, right? Because I want them to take an article and I want them to find the law and make sure that it's done correctly. So as technology changes, we change things, but it's updated pretty frequently.
So how has AI changed your hiring process with all this stuff now?
So I used to really focus on somebody who could speak English like fluently, like an American, right? That was a
Mhm.
thing. We don't care about that anymore. We can get ChatGPT to do it, but I do care about how is their fact checking because we work with lawyers. I need the law and the law in the specific state, and you have to be able to read it online and understand it, and then translate it into like regular words. That's a
Yeah.
lot, especially for somebody who has no legal background.
Yeah.
And then I'll send it to the lawyers, and sometimes we will catch the lawyers making mistakes, and that's always awkward. I'm like. Actually, I think that the law, like you always have to be like, because they catch lawyers making mistakes sometimes, and it's just like so.
I'm sure they love hearing that from you.
Well, it's better than placing the incorrect legal advice on the website.
Correct. That makes sense, of course.
Yeah, so I think they don't hold it against us. It doesn't happen like all the time, but once
So
in a while.
you got to have a smart team to kind of catch those type of things and really keep up with that. Like I said, they don't even know what divorce is, over
Yeah,
there, and they
but
got to
not
kind of
only
figure this
smart,
out on the fly.
right? But not only smart, they have to have the initiative to say, this doesn't sound right. Let me go double check that, right? Because we're getting an article, let's say, written by a lawyer. For somebody to be like, oh, let me question that, that's a certain type of personality.
Hmm.
And that's what I really want. I want somebody who can question authority, and that's hard to find.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's got to be probably where you have the tough time finding people. Someone who's going to stand up, especially when you're dealing with people from other cultures and other countries and things like that who
Mm-hmm.
may not necessarily be comfortable with that to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's even
Yeah.
harder to find someone like that in another country like that.
Yeah.
That's got to be something.
So the other thing I do, and this could be useful for people as well, is we have a Slack room. And in that room, we have posted our values. And our values include things like question authority, work extra hard. If you make everybody makes mistakes, admit it and, take responsibility and fix it. So, and then whenever somebody lives up to one of these values, we post like a props, props to XYZ for living up to this specific value. And I will often post in there props for question authority. And when people see you doing that over and over again, and they're like, oh, she's okay with it, then they get more comfortable, right? Because they're coming from a certain culture, but then they're understanding that in our corporate culture, those things are cool and they are appreciated, which is totally, totally different.
So you have someone kind of in-house, I guess a team member or team manager or something like that, that kind of oversees that and kind of your buffer. and is able to kind of bring these people out of their shell a little bit over time, or how does that work?
That's really more me. So I am the person who tries to be positive, and I try not to work with any newbies one on one because I'm extremely intimidating and very abrupt, and I
No.
scare.
Oh.
So I'm not allowed to talk to newbies unless it's like something nice.
So they tell you you're not allowed to talk to them until, okay, all right.
They have said it in a very diplomatic way, but yes, I have been told not to talk to new people in no uncertain terms by multiple managers at this
Okay, all right,
point.
there you go. I can see
But
that.
hey, listen, they got to call me out, because it's the truth. Speak truth to power. You got to speak truth to power.
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to grow if you don't hear this type of stuff. It's only going to help you make your team members stronger down the road. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to grow. I'm amazing, but it's good.
of course, of course.
Naturally.
So, a couple other questions. How are your internal teams structured? How many different positions are you trying to hire for? Are you basically hiring from the ground up? When I was working in the corporate world, I worked for Geico, like right out of college. And back then, it had just gone to a privately owned company, but they didn't hire anyone from the outside. They hired just entry level people, and then um,
Mm.
everyone was able to move up from there. So how do you structure your teams? How do you hire? Are you hiring for specific positions, or are you just hiring people to have a particular skill set? You can train them into those positions.
Yeah, yeah. We do the same thing. Like we'll hire everybody entry level. Everybody starts at the same level. I don't care how much experience you do or you don't have.
Mhm.
And then people who are showing the right level of initiative, they'll get promoted. But honestly, everybody makes the same. So whether you're a supervisor or not, you still make this like the same amount of money based on how long you've been with us. So you get a raise every 6 months, every 3 months at first, and every 6 months. Because I don't necessarily want the division between supervisors and employees. I would rather have people who are just better fit for a position be in that position. And some people are great as supervisors. Some people, for them, they're just much better as people who are focused on specific tasks rather than supervision. Um, and we don't hire from outside, and it's I don't have to worry about stealing anybody or having my talent stolen because everybody who's been with me for a long time, like they know, we'll go to bat for them, and like they feel safe and they feel good, so we can just promote from within. And I think it's that culture. People are always volunteering for extra stuff and taking on extra work, and that's yeah.
So you've had people with you basically from your first round of hiring that are still with you, still doing the same,
Oh
still
yeah,
day-to-day
they're not
work?
doing the same. They've changed. Their jobs change all the time because the technology changes.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
what the girl who went to maternity leave, she was my first employee. My first employee after my developer. Yeah, and she's hopefully not going anywhere. And then I have my second, my third, my fourth employee, and then people will come and leave. But if they stay for 3 months, usually they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. That's usually the demarcation you see. If they make it 3 months, they're going to be with you for a while.
Yeah, yeah, because we once a lot of people kind of work really hard for the first month or so, and then they kind of like then I always say like a natural personality takes over, and some people are just extremely conscientious, and those people work out really well. Some people are just not as conscientious, and they just kind of get more relaxed, and we see it right away. Like my employees will come to me and be like, "Hey, this person is making mistakes. I don't think it's I think we should cut our losses." We're tough. We're a tough crowd. Everybody like it's a bunch of little mini Victorias, except they're all nicer and
All right.
shorter than me.
So do you have a particular, I guess, timeline about how you're kind of rewarding these people, maybe bumping them up in pay or something along those lines? Like, is it the 3 month mark? Is it 6 months? Or how do you do
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so everybody gets a raise after 3 months if they've been with us, if they survive, and then every 6 months after that. First 3 months, then after 6 months. So after 6 months would be hard. So 3 months and 3 months, sorry, and then every 6 months, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then some employees who are extra get extra, bonuses and stuff who are like performing some extra things. But it's pretty. I don't want to say the word socialist because. Um, I feel like a lot of teams outside of the US do talk about how much money they're making. So if somebody is making much more than their colleagues, then they will realize it. But there's also no reason to pay more to anybody outside of their time zone, how long they've been with us, because everybody's excellent. Everybody's at 100%. So there's no real need to, for not disquality, what's the word? Unevenness in pay, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understood. So now, I guess you said you're just simply hiring kind of the entry level, let them grow into specific roles over time. How are you choosing to kind of promote these people? Is it strictly performance based? Is it personality based, or kind of a mix of both? Do you see where certain people are going to be more in tune to be a supervisor, personality wise? So that's going to give them a leg up, kind of moving up in the world.
Yeah, people who can come to me and question my judgments, and people who can call me on my BS. Those are people who, often I think should be supervisors, because that's what I need them to do, right? And then there are people who are like just really nice, and they just really struggle like to call me out. So that's. But I think in the end, people who want to be supervisors, they'll tell me, and they get promoted. We don't have that many supervisors anyway, so
Okay.
we only have like four, 5 now.
So let's kind of take a walk through through the process. How does it start? You guys are growing. You got a bunch of new clients. You need to hire more people.
Yeah.
So as far as your process, you go, okay, go ahead, hire me some people, and that's it. Then you just walk away and stand in the corner and wait till it's done.
Yeah.
Then
How else do you do it? How do you do
it?
it? Well, they post an ad, and then they get everybody into a Slack group, and then they have an interview day where they give everybody, 25 people in the Slack group, they give them the same task, and then they see the people who do it correctly. Usually it'll be 3 to 7 people at most who will do it correctly. So
25 people, okay.
you gotta to be able to just apply to our job. You have to be able to figure out some a little bit tricky instructions in the job description. And
So there's a test within a test, even to get to that testing day.
yeah, so you don't realize what you're doing because it's like a honeypot. But that's how I'm able to pre-screen 300 people and then put 25 people in the Slack room, because those are the people who actually passed my test. That doesn't look like a test.
So they followed instructions without knowing.
They followed instructions without knowing. But it's not, but I mean, there is instructions in there, but they had to get a little bit creative, because we give them actually specific requests that's not possible to fulfill through the platform.
Oh,
So they have to come up with a way to do it. And, if they don't, they have to show initiative just to get in the Slack room. And then the other thing is they have to come in on time. I'm a big stickler for time. So if they're not there precisely on time, they will not be allowed to take. So we just take them right out of the room. So that allows us to pre-screen a whole lot of people right away, right? Because, everybody sounds great in resume. I don't care about the resume. We don't look at resumes. I'm looking at, are they able to pass our process? And then once we have the 25 people or whatever, 15 people who showed up on time that morning, then they get the first task. And then the first task is pretty simple, but you have to follow an SOP, and it's a written SOP. The other thing is we do a written SOP, we do a video SOP, and then we do a verbal communication SOP because we want to understand that somebody can read instructions, they can follow a video, and then they can also listen, which is...
So I think that's fascinating that you potentially wouldn't even look at a single resume as they come in. You're waiting for the people to kind of weed themselves out.
Yeah, why would we look at a resume?
I would never even think of that. I'm too caught up on the idea. Do these guys have experience? Are they what I'm looking for? I do the exact, historically, I've done the exact opposite of what you're doing. It makes sense to me doing it the way you're doing. You're just letting the people weed themselves out. And ultimately, you're getting people that, like you said, they take initiative. They figure things out. They're smart. And those are going to be people that you want to work with you in the long run.
I mean, you can have ChatGPT write you any resume you want.
This is true. Exactly. Yeah, so.
Like, I don't even understand the point of resume. Like, but if you look at like who Google hires, for instance, or Facebook, they're not looking at resumes. They're giving you tests.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe they look at resumes as well. I don't know, but I know for a fact it's all about like job interview, the test.
We don't need anyone with a degree from a medical school or anything like that. So I think we're okay. everything
Yeah.
get by. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the other thing is people may not have a resume. Somebody might be very, very smart and they might have always had a job and they may not have a resume or
Mhm.
it may be a shit resume. How do you I care more about what are they able to do.
Right. So theoretically, even some sort of related experience isn't a big deal to you at all whatsoever. And like I said, you'd rather kind of steer away from that anyway. You don't want to have to retrain them over and over again.
Yeah, one of my best employees used to run the scheduling segment of a train
Okay.
company.
All right. Hey, you were hiring for preschools, right, or whatever whatever you were talking about. I used to do insurance. I think we've all gotten into this from some random career choices along the way, and here we are.
Exactly. Yeah, like I literally opened an agency and then they had a client within 3 weeks. You know, I wouldn't have hired myself if I was looking at the resume, but I mean, not, I would still not hire myself to be totally honest. I couldn't pass that test. I couldn't pass it. I looked at it and I was like, because I didn't even, because portions that they're administering now, they actually the ones who wrote it. I wasn't even the ones who wrote it anymore because like they'll come to me and they'll be like, oh, can we change this and make this better?
Mhm.
And I've looked at it and I'm like, you guys, I would not be able to pass this.
So those 3 to 7 people who do pass it, for example, out of the 25 that come in,
Yeah.
if they get through that first phase, are they paid for that particular testing day? Is there some
Oh,
sort
we're
of
not done yet.
round
We're
two,
not
huh?
even close to done yet.
What comes next then?
Okay, so then there is another test. This is the schema test.
Okay.
And the schema test is where they're given the schema. Now this is a video, and they are told, we want you to finish this. So they're given like an example schema. They have to find some assets and put it in there. We give them specific instructions. And some of the schema is, I believe is it either broken or it's very easy to break. I forget which one. And they have to not break the schema. If they break the
Okay.
schema, they're out. It's tough test.
All right.
And so usually we'll have 2 to 3 people pass that. Now, when they're doing the schema task, what we're really looking for is their ability to ask questions. So even if they do the whole thing perfectly, but they don't, but they don't ask the right questions, then we know that they, went to ChatGPT or whatever. Because you have to understand it, and then you have to be able to ask. You have to be able to communicate. And so only those people who can do all three and not break the schema get to the next phase. And the next phase is still more interview, which
Okay.
is the research task. This is where we give them a divorce lawyer article and we ask them to go out there. Again, this is a country that has no divorce, and find the law. And there's mistakes in there. And this is a verbal instruction now. We give them an article with mistakes and ask them not only to figure out what the mistakes are, but to propose the correction and to give us the sources for it. And the sources have to be very specific. They have to be city or state government sources. Of course, we know that all those exist and not competitor websites.
Mhm.
It's a hard test. And then, and then after all
There you
that, then we send them home for the night, and then they come back the next day for a full day interview.
Do they get to go home and go to sleep for one night and kind of say their
Yeah,
little
they get
prayer?
to stress. And so when they come back, we have what we call newbie tasks. And newbie tasks are things like posting on Twitter, posting on Pinterest, writing a Google My Business post, like very simple tasks that do require you to be able to read through the SOPs. Now, with the newbie task, what we're looking for is speed and accuracy. Because up until now, we haven't really been testing speed, we've been testing accuracy. Here, we're looking at sometimes like over there, they have issues with internet or whatever. We're looking for, can they actually perform the way we need them to? And we know exactly how long every Pinterest post is supposed to take. So the first time they do it, take as much time as you want. And the next time you do it, we have to see the speed. And if they do well that whole day and they get an offer, that's when they do get paid for that day. If they are doing just okay and we don't think we're gonna hire them, then we send them home.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
No pay for the day.
Well, it's not that usually we'll send them after an hour to home. We're not going to spend them. Like if they stay in the whole day, I'll pay them. But They don't it doesn't generally happen that way. If they're staying the whole day, they're hired, in which case they do get paid for it.
Have you ever had the case where you've decided you're not going to hire anyone and then kind of change your mind to bring them back, or you don't never bother doing that?
No, it's like dating. Once you break up once, there is no reason to go back.
Yeah, your first decision is usually the best one, huh? That's it.
Always go with your instincts. Always go with your instincts.
No,
and you know what? It's possible that I've been wrong. Our system's been wrong. I 100% understand. But when we're right, we're really right. I have some brilliant people working for me. Like, oh man, I'm in love with my employees. They're like the loves of my life.
Better than your family, huh?
Well, no, I like my family too. They are my family.
Yeah, there you go. How long would it take someone to get through this course and get to the point where they can actually start hiring someone?
If I'm like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I assume that the people who are looking at this do not have time to dilly-dally. I don't put extra in there. It's all like, do this, then do this, then do this. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. And there's also a set of videos for the owner and a set of videos for the VAs. You can actually pass them off to your VAs and they can execute the whole thing for you.
So basically, you can learn it from your perspective as the owner, but you can actually pass these videos off to someone who's going to be running it for you.
Yeah. Okay. I hate it when I have to buy a course and then make my own SOPs. Sorry.
We're going to make Joe hire people for us now. We're going to hand the videos off to him, and he's off and running.
Joe is the VA.
Yep. Joe's going to be hiring all the VAs for us now. So what is included in the course itself? You said there's videos. You said you have copies of different Slack messages and things like that.
Yeah.
The tests themselves that you provide for these people, they're in there as well too. What's included?
Yeah, all the SOPs, everything from the very first advertisements that we do to the job offer, every conversation, every SOP, every video that we send, analysis of their submissions, analysis of their, how we evaluate their schema submissions, how we evaluate their research, everything is in there. So you should literally be able to watch yourself what you need to, pass the rest off to your VAs and, just have them do it. Go for it.
Each step along the way is like an over-the-shoulder walkthrough?
Yeah.
So you actually see them as you're going through the entire, this is a real hiring process that you're actually.
Yes. Yeah. And I actually show how we failed at one point because we go through the whole hiring process and we don't end up hiring anybody. And that's the real deal because you're being so picky, you will not hire every process. You will not. But once you do, you'll be very happy with it.
Yeah. So how often does that happen where you go through the process and no one, you don't pick anyone? Is it more often than not, or do you usually end up?
I would say 50-50,
Okay.
We'll often hire somebody and then it also depends. Like it's weird. Some months we will do 4 hirings and we'll hire 4 people. And then some months we'll do like 4 hirings and we'll hire maybe 1. It's like the full moon or something. It's like so random, but you know how it is. Like even with leads, it's like that. Like it's so random.
Yep. Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah. But I think it averages out to about 50%.
If you have the process in place, you just trust it, and it is what it is. You're going to hire the right people in the long run. They're going to be with you forever, and they're going to help you hire even better people.
Right. I mean, if you really have trouble hiring, just increase your rate because you can go up by like $10 and you'll get a lot more interviewees. So maybe you're not paying enough for what the market is. Like that's what capitalism is simple. You know what I mean? Need more money. But like, still, I'm paying so much less money than like, a lot of our competitors. So, as long as you create a good environment, that's what matters.
Makes sense. Yeah. Above and beyond the course materials you have yourself, there's a Facebook group, a support group. People can ask questions, follow-up questions, things like that.
And you're in it. There is a Facebook group, and actually, like if you have questions, just send them to me, and I'll do like a video explaining. There's not a lot of people who like are implementing it. People are buying it, but not implementing it, so you don't have that much competition for now.
Perfect. So, this is the time to do it then. Get out there, build your team.
Get your best employees now.
So as far as ongoing support, is there anything above and beyond the hiring process that you teach? Are you willing to talk about other things like how you structure your team, how you deal with your team moving forward, and that type of stuff?
Yeah, I have some videos in there about how I work with them and how I structure. And like, if you have more questions, write them to me, and I will like do a video for everybody. It's all, to me, it seems so basic and self-explanatory, but apparently, like, it's just something that I've always done. So it's not necessarily easy for everybody, if you haven't done that kind of thing. But I'm happy to explain and share my experience. Because I've hired like a lot. I've probably hired, when I was running the preschools, I probably had 200 people working for me at one time.
Okay. So you had to go through this quite a bit.
Yeah. So like I have like years of hiring experience. Yeah.
So what did you take from that experience that really applied to this process that you have right now? Like, what was there something that I could definitely take this and apply it in the digital world now? Yeah, I would think it's two completely different worlds. You're hiring people from a completely different culture on the other side of the world for a completely different industry. How does that kind of correlate?
So the most important thing that I brought with me was ask the other teachers for their opinion of how this person does with children, right? So they would go into a classroom and they would just hang out in the classroom, and the best references were from the kids and the teachers. I would literally ask the kids, "Do you like this teacher?" Mm-hmm. And if they said no, that's it. That's as far as they went. So now my employees are also, evaluating, and they're the ones who are making the calls. They're the ones who are creating these tasks, because they know the best what is going to work for the team. At this point, like, all I'm doing is, the big stuff. So I think you have to ask your employees, what do they think? And that also makes a better work environment, but also they're wiser, a lot of times than we are with what's working every day for the everyday kind of situation.
Makes sense. And you, in certain cases, you're going to see where, these employees they're going to act differently around you than they would around their colleagues or the other employees. So
you'll
get a better feel about how they are in
yes.
real life,
yeah. But everybody's on their best behavior for the first few days. You know what I mean? Which is why it's important to trust your team to come to you if that changes and say, they will say literally, "Viktoria, I hate to be the bearer of bad news." But and that's when you're doing good. When people come to you with words like that, that's when you're doing good. When
so do you have kind of like an unofficial trial that you have in your mind, like they got to make it for the next 2 weeks without any issues or something like that? Or
the first 3 months, I would say. Are they going to survive 3 months? Which not a lot of people do.
So you'll weed some people out, even those 3 months. You might hire them, but then if they don't make it 3 months, you're going to go through more people.
Yeah, so people are on their best behavior at first. Like I said, true personalities will come out. Their conscientiousness, their work ethic, their ability to relate to other people in the team. They sometimes will have personality conflicts that they cannot resolve in a positive manner. That can also happen. Mm-hmm. Or they could be too shy and not, say they have a problem, and then, it explodes in some other, how it is. People are people.
Yeah. What about hiring people for their communication skills? Are your team members dealing directly with the clients themselves via on the phone? Probably not the phone, but via email or things like that?
Very, very rarely. I generally am the one to deal with my clients, but my clients know that I am not generally available to talk.
Okay.
You have to make an appointment to talk to me.
Huh? All right.
Listen, I focus on getting them calls. I'm not exactly a people person, let's put it that way. So if people look at me one time, they're like, what, Viktoria, just go do your work. Nobody wants to talk to you anyway. And, and that works out really well for me. But they will only talk to my clients if there's like something very specific, or if I'm leaving town and they need to communicate about some project or some issue, then yes. But it's funny because I don't hire them for communication skills, but everybody who stays with me tends to be very strong at communication. But I think that's almost part of being a very capable, intelligent person with high emotional intelligence. Because if people have high emotional intelligence, they're functioning well in a high pressure environment, and they are very good at communication.
I would think that would come up though with things like, trying to get client assets and stuff like that. Like, you're onboarding these clients, you need to get access to, different platforms and things like that. Does that stuff come up and these guys are able to handle it no problem for you?
No, I just do that stuff myself. I just send everything to the client and I tell them to give it to me.
Yeah, you better get it to me. That's it.
Huh? All right. It works. But I think lawyers kind of appreciate my no BS. They don't have time for like holding.
All right. So you scare them into submission. They get everything you need, and that's it. All right. That makes
Yeah, it
sense.
works really well for me.
I bet. We have to, train you and Joe
We
up on
also
that
have
part.
like almost no turnover, so clients don't really leave us. They're
Yeah.
scared. No.
So do you think the way you hire your team would make them, for example, you strictly do lawyers, correct?
For
As
now,
as
yeah.
your client base?
Yeah.
So what if someone else was kind of more wide open? They had a bunch of different industry verticals that they work with. Do you think your method would allow them to be flexible to handle that? Are the people that you're hiring the strengths you're looking for kind of more geared towards handling your client base, or are they going to be able to handle just about anything you throw at them? If you were to expand to different industry verticals, into different niches, you wouldn't have any worries at all, would you?
I think honestly, if they had the opportunity, they could all go into space. Like,
You name it,
like
they can
these
handle
people
it.
could do pretty much anything. Like they're really, 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 really capable. I think if I wanted to expand whatever way, I could do that. If I could clone some of them, my life would be so much easier. If I could clone my employees, I would take over the world.
Makes sense.
So
I mean, I
I
know
would
when
never want to clone myself, just my employees.
I don't think we'd want you to.
Yeah, there's not that many Victorias the world could take.
So I know you spoke recently in a mastermind group that I'm a part of,
Yeah.
and some really smart SEOs were kind of blown away by what you're talking about. They were really impressed, and some of them have already jumped into using your process,
Hmm.
at least to some extent, and have had
Hmm.
success with it already. They've been
Hmm.
able to get, I've heard feedback from people within the group, talking about how they were able to get, 300, 500, 600 people applying for a job where they've never been able to do that previously. I mean, even
Yeah.
when I've done it before, even using the same platform you use, I've never gotten that many people applying to my job, and trying to weed through it was always a problem. Like I said, I was looking through their resumes and their backgrounds,
That
and
sounds exhausting.
it was, and I was almost glad I didn't get that many people applying. But if you got it on kind of autopilot, where all these people are coming in, you
Yeah.
can weed them out. And I've seen it firsthand with these people talking about that. These people in the mastermind group have been able to take your teachings, apply it, and seeing it work out in real life exactly the way you're talking about, which is something you never see that for the most part. A lot of people make a lot of promises in courses and everything
Yeah.
else, but
Yeah.
I've seen it with you where you practice what you preach, and then when somebody
Yeah.
applies those same strategies, it works out the same way for them.
Yeah,
But
because
you
I'm
don't
not the
see.
one doing it. Remember, somebody else is following my SOP. So I'm giving you the SOP. If my VA can follow my SOP, so can you.
That makes sense.
Like I'm not the one doing any of this. That's the best part. Like you shouldn't have to be doing any of the work. You should just be going to yoga.
Or travel the world, right?
I travel the world in business class. You gotta fly first class.
Spend some money, buy some new clothes, some new shoes, fly first class. All right, I see where it is.
It's a tough life.
So, what else do we need to know about Victoria and her course?
Honestly, it's very simple. You just have to take action. You literally just have to follow it step by step by step. Don't just buy it and not do it. It's not going to take up a lot of your time. It's going to take half a day at most. And this is probably, like I said, this is the best thing I could give to this industry. This is my love letter to the industry. This is the most profitable thing I could give you. Thank you for helping me. Here you go. And if you don't, well, it's too bad for you.
I've heard that feedback firsthand from people that it was a game changer for them. Now, for people who don't necessarily have an agency or looking to build a team for, like part of my course is building out affiliate websites and things like that. If you want to build an entire portfolio of affiliate websites, you can hire VAs to help you with that type of stuff
Yeah.
too, correct? It doesn't just have to be
Yeah.
agency work, client work, or anything like that.
I mean, you can have them do anything. You can have them run your life, like do your research for what you should buy your wife or whatever.
Yeah, I need help with all that stuff. I got all these girlfriends, it's tough. Yep. There you go. Go to crazy pool parties and everything else. You know how it is.
Oh Lord, Brian. Yeah, so you could have your VAs do anything, including affiliate sites,
Hire lifeguards for me and everything else, right?
You gotta keep doing that.
Thanks, Joe.
Who we need here when you Craig is missing right now.
Yeah, we need him here exactly to chime in.
Yeah, he's missing. Yeah, so yeah, the pools and stuff, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. How can people, get in touch with you? How can they learn more about the course? Where are they going to go?
You can reach me on Facebook. I'm probably friends with you already on Facebook, and if I'm not, Brian can introduce you.
Yeah.
Or you can go to courses.bsplegalmarketing.com. I think it's under here.
There it is. Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
So track you down on Facebook, go to your website, buy the course, and make millions. That's how it works, right?
Honestly, if you have great people, you can do pretty much anything.
This is true. That's what it's all about. If you have the people behind you, the team behind you,
Yeah.
then it just makes life easier for you. And that's the one thing that kind of struck me, and it's always been the case, was that you have to have an easy way to scale. And if you don't have that, you're just going to hold yourself back. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. That's always the roadblock: is how do you easily scale? And you've come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen it. I've seen it work in real life. I've gotten the feedback from other people who've gone through your course already, and I see them doing it day in and day out. So you've solved it.
It works. That's the one thing that I don't think I've seen anybody in this industry do. There's so many different courses. People have amazing SEO stuff, but I feel like also a lot of people are not making money the way they should be. They're so pardon my French. They're so brilliant. They're so smart, and they're so broke.
Exactly.
And it's because scaling is hard, but this is the one thing that's it's not hard. You just have to do it.
So do you think the big thing was your non-traditional background, like taking, things from the way you were hiring in the past and bringing it into this world? No one else kind of really has come up with that.
Yeah. I've always been very good at reading people, and I've run several companies, and I've done very good at hiring. That's always been my strength. Even if everybody hated me, everybody loved my employees, and I'm okay with being hated as long as they love my employees. So I just feel like everybody has a special little skill. I'm not that smart, but I am very good at hiring.
No, I'd say you're pretty smart.
I am average
You have my
smart.
seal of approval.
I'm average smart. Compared to some people in this industry, I'm downright stupid. But I'm really good at hiring. I don't know anybody else who's as good at hiring as me.
I don't know anyone either, so take the course. All right, so courses.bsplegalmarketing.com/VA course. Go get it. Build your team up. Reap the rewards. Victoria's there for support. There's a Facebook group. I'll be in there. You get to see my picture in there every once in a while. So, what more could you ask for?
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having us, Joe. Thanks for taking care of everything. And feel free to hit us up with any questions.
Okay. Oh, that was from the pool.